For centuries, the media has been the backbone of informed societies, shaping opinions, challenging power, and holding truth to account. From the ink-stained presses of yesterday to today's lightning-fast digital platforms, journalism has constantly evolved, adapting to new technologies and new challenges. In Guyana, this evolution has taken on unique dimensions. Once dominated by traditional newspapers and radio, the media landscape is now a vibrant tapestry of online platforms, social media voices, and 24/7 news cycles. The recent advent of oil production has added fresh urgency and complexity to the role of the press. As the nation's economy transforms, the stakes for transparency, accountability, and informed public discourse have never been higher. Now, a new frontier looms: artificial intelligence. AI promises to revolutionize the way news is gathered, produced, and consumed, but it also raises pressing questions. Will AI strengthen press freedom or threaten it? Will it empower journalists or replace them? To explore these critical issues, we sit down with two of Guyana's most respected media figures, Nazima Raghubir, president of the Guyana Press Association, and veteran journalist Denis Chabrol. Together, they reflect on the evolving nature of journalism, the impact of AI on press freedom, and what the future may hold for media in Guyana and beyond. This is Reporting in the Brave New World: The Impact of Artificial Intelligence on Press Freedom and the Media.
Nazima Raghubir is an exceptional woman and highly recognized in the media industry. She's made it down in history as the first woman to lead the Guyana Press Association and later became the head of the Association of Media Workers. Throughout her career, she has chased a good story with great tenacity and becoming a beacon of inspiration for women in media. Okay. Journalism is constantly evolving, and one of the most significant developments is the introduction of artificial intelligence, commonly known as AI. Based on your level of expertise, how do you see artificial intelligence transforming Guyana?
Thank you so much for having me, and thank you for the class for approaching a topic which I know is something that is significant in modern day journalism and one that people worry a lot about changing the dynamics of journalism. I just want to step back a bit. When I enter into journalism, it had more of a focus of what we consider the old type of journalism. There were VHS tapes in my days, and there were talks about digitization. People were worried about digitization. It meant something positive, but it also meant something negative. It meant change. It meant that you had to move from what you traditionally knew. And a lot of my older colleagues would tell you, oh, at GBC, we had to physically cut tapes for inserts, and, you know, to get a photograph, you had to actually go to a place where they wash the photographs and print it for it to be printed. We don't do those things anymore. I would like to say that is the same type of challenge and change that comes with AI and use of AI. I want to say this: you should not be afraid of AI, even as a journalist, even as a student. What I don't expect you to do is to depend on AI wholly and solely for your work as a journalist. There are a couple of things that you need to be doing as a journalist. We all need to be doing as people who are reading media and stuff like that. You're fact checking, you're doing your research. I don't necessarily think that AI can, at least some of the tools I've seen, can teach you all of that, especially in the Guyana context. I still have to physically go to the archives or physically go to certain locations to verify bits and pieces of information. But certainly I can use AI to maybe frame something or provide a context that I need, or even something that is so lacking in journalism: data analysis. It's data that I am compiling and inputting into a particular software and using AI to sort of contextualize that data. So I want to say that it's not so much of a challenge. It's about embracing that change and using that change to sort of empower the type of journalism that we ought to be doing.
Okay. We read the same thing. Okay. Having witnessed journalism throughout the years, what are some potential challenges AI may present for press freedom in the region, especially as it regards to misinformation and surveillance?
I'm happy that you asked that because I recently was a facilitator on a project with UNESCO and Public Media Alliance, the Association of Caribbean Media Workers, and also the Media Institute of the Caribbean, where I am employed as a media facilitator and trainer. And we actually did some work in about 4 schools, 4 countries, about 16 schools, also working with journalism students, teachers, and journalists. And the problem that plagues us with misinformation and disinformation is those problems are not new. They existed before, but they have been amplified with the use of social media, the use of certain techniques, and I don't want to blame AI, where you can easily or hastily put together a particular piece of information and disseminate it as a fact. What you find, and this is what I found, the same perpetrators of misinformation are the same perpetrators today. What they're doing are different tools. What they're using are different tools. We cannot change that. What we need to do is start equipping people like our audiences, the people who depend on us and rely on us for the types of information that we're going to put out there. And I was talking to your colleagues earlier because you guys are in the communication program at the University of Guyana. You're communication students first year. Many of you envision a career in journalism at the end of the day. Strongly linked to that career is your credibility. People on the streets, people in this country, anywhere will talk to you or want to be interviewed by you or be willing to share information with you if they think that you're credible. A lot of what I've seen, and I'm using social media as that example, a lot of what I've seen, the misinformation is created in such a way, even using some AI tools to disrupt society and to knowingly put this information out there. That is not the function of the media. The function of the media, and I'm sure that you have been taught this, you ask questions, the how, the why, the where, the when. When you answer those questions, those are the questions, that's the information you're communicating with the public. Therein lies where you come in and how you could even use these tools to better your messaging, better your stories, and ensure that people are informed rather than disinformed.
Okay. So artificial intelligence has become a popular and powerful tool in media for automating news production to assisting in fact-checking. In your opinion, how is artificial intelligence reshaping the way journalists report their stories?
So one of the things that I noticed, and this is something I respect for a lot of the media houses, I'm not seeing it a lot in the Caribbean, and that's because the interface with the Caribbean is much more different than maybe Europe and North America. I haven't seen the complete use of AI for interface with audiences, and I feel that is because Caribbean people are touchy-feely people, you know, like they see Gordon Mosley on the radio or they hear his voice and they know that this is somebody that they have built a level of trust with over the years. But I've seen in other parts of the world where AI has been used for more commentary, for the more compilation of data, because the audience appeal is much more different. And I think that has a different impact because it's meeting a whole bunch of different audiences that need information in a different way. Either they need information on the go, they use the popular the app TikTok, and AI is easy for you to use tools to compile data, so people are getting their information like there. But the traditional audiences, which we're accustomed to in the region, they get their information from the radio, they get their information from TV newscasts, and they get their information from newspapers. So they still expect this this sort of level of things that they can identify with, which is not necessarily AI. I do see like a lot of the media houses using social media a lot more, and I'm sure some of them use AI tools to be able to put those information together. But at the end of the day, I've also noticed that our audiences still go back to the original sources. Like they'd be like, yeah, I saw this on TikTok, but is Gordon Mosley reporting it, right? That means they have built a level of trust still in traditional media.
Okay. And lastly, traditional investigative journalism often relies on human instincts, ethical considerations, and first-hand reporting. Do you, as a journalist, believe artificial intelligence can coexist with these principles? And can a writer's authenticity be pressured? And does it pose a risk as journalistic integrity?
I feel, and I think I answered a bit of this question in before. You should not be relying wholly and solely on any tool to write anything for you. I feel that there are advantages of using the AI tools, and I stand by that, with the authentic information that you research and you put together. But if you are worth your salt as any journalist, you still have to put in that hard work that comes with building the human relations I talk about, doing the type of research, doing the type of data gathering that is necessary, and then filtering that information through whatever tools exist. I'm not going to tell people not to use the tools, but just remain authentic in what you're doing. And there are a couple of ethical things that we do. This guy from CNN, I think he got a lot of flack many years ago for plagiarism. There was another reporter who was either with the Times or Post who already concocted stories, that he did. And even though somebody like the Times may have all these different layers of fact-checking mechanisms and editing before, you finally get to this, it still was able to pass all these people that this man just made up these interviews and called people. So even before AI, these things, these challenges were there. There are certain ethical considerations that you always have to take. If somebody calls and say, oh, there's a fire somewhere, like yesterday, there was a lot of information about a fire at NIS. The first thing we do as journalists is that some of us call the fire service. Nazima Raghubir calling, is there a fire at NIS? Because we have created now this whole professional relationship with a lot of these entities and so on. You call and say, is there a fire? And then that person says, no, there isn't a fire, there's a bomb scare. And you are creating those linkages already and securing that sort of reliance that people already have and trust that people have in you as a journalist. And so, you are doing the ground level work of research, ensuring that all your stuff is, ethical. There are people that you call, their sensitive stories that we cover. Then you can't do this with AI. Somebody call and say, look, there's a story of an allegation of sexual assault. You have to reach out to either the person that's been affected, to the police. You have to follow up with the court system. With court systems, you can't log into anything and see the records. You actually have to go to the court and ask for the records, or ask the police or some of the organization working with the survivors. So that's still relies on a lot of human contact, a lot of human research. So at this point, where we are in journalism in Guyana, I don't think journalism is threatened in that regard. What we see is the use of certain purveyors of information, certain tools to spread disinformation, and oftentimes it's not the same information that media houses are disseminating and so on. And I think that is more of a challenge than AI. But I also want to end this by saying we still do see a heavy reliance on traditional media. People know that they have a particular perspective and content coming from Starbrick News, a particular content coming from Kaitro News and a different content coming from Guyana Times. Some people will tell you that they read all three of the papers. People may look at News Source, and people may look at Newsroom, people may look at 6 o'clock news, or people look at all of them. So people have, and I've noticed this with Guyanese, especially in this project that I've worked on, because we've actually produced a situation report on misinformation and disinformation. It covered like 8 or 9 countries, but one of the similarities in all the countries is that people said they always come back to the traditional news sources. And I'm not saying that these traditional news sources don't get it wrong, but there's a level of trust in media that has already been built there. And I just wanted to make one last point. I don't, and this is how I feel personally, I don't think AI is a threat. It comes back to, if you're a serious journalist and you want to use particular tools to advance your work, to have it look better, maybe to do a little bit more data analysis, all of that work still is bolstered by a foundation of research that you should be doing, and information that you should be putting together.
Okay, so I appreciate the positive response, because what I've heard about AI was nothing positive. It's always about journalists maybe becoming lazy and complacent to do what they're supposed to do. So to hear you say something so positive about AI is quite refreshing. So thank you so much.
As Nazima Raghubir highlights, the media in Guyana stands at a crossroads, balancing tradition with innovation and freedom with new forms of control. The rise of artificial intelligence presents both opportunities and risks, reshaping how stories are told and who gets to tell them. But while AI's impact is being felt globally, its effects are deeply personal and local too, especially in a country undergoing rapid economic change. To deepen our understanding, we turn now to Denis Chabrol, a veteran journalist whose decades of experience offer a critical lens on how AI and evolving media landscapes are influencing not just the newsroom, but society at large.
The theme of World Press Freedom Day 2025 reads, Reporting a Brave New World, the impact of artificial intelligence on press freedom and the media. We see that the impact of AI and artificial intelligence has sparked debate. While some view AI's potential for automating tedious tasks as a boon to the industry, we can see that many things and many persons has views on it. And today's interview, we're going to be interviewing Mr. Denis Chabrol. And Mr. Denis Chabrol is a veteran Guyanese journalist and media professional with a career spanning over 4 decades. He began his journey in journalism in 1984 as a studio engineer and now defunct Guyana Broadcasting Corporation. Over the years, he transitioned into roles in news and current affairs, eventually serving as the chief of Caribbean News Agency, CANA, bureaus in Georgetown and Antigua. Mr. Chabrol is the founder of and the managing editor of the Waves online news, one of Guyana's leading independent digital news platforms. His reporting has been featured in international outlets such as Bloomberg, Yahoo News, and the BBC Caribbean Service. In addition, his journalistic endeavors, Chabrol has held significant positions in media organizations. He has served as president of the Guyana Press Association and is currently the second vice president of the Association of Caribbean Media Workers, advocating for press freedom and professional development across the region. His contribution towards journalism have been recognized with awards, including one from European Union Ambassador to Guyana. He continues to be an influential figure in the Guyanese media, known for his commitment to journalistic integrity and his role in shaping the media landscape in the Caribbean. He has also seen a modification of technology, as he has been in this profession since the days of radio and newspapers, where television were now rising. In today's society, we see news from right on our phones from a click of a button. And where the latest intervention of technology is available to all users, and that is in the effect in this generation. This latest intervention, as we know, is called artificial intelligence. And with artificial intelligence, we see many changes. But as being said, we like to develop and interview this highlight and this good man in journalism, Mr. Chabrol. So good morning, Mr. Chabrol.
Good morning.
Good morning. You have quite a long introduction in all those years in journalism. In journalism, we'd like to know the impact of artificial intelligence really has sparked debates worldwide. And I guess this is why the United Nations really put this as one of the themes for this year World Press Freedom Day. While some views AI as a potential for automating tedious tasks as a boon to the industry, others worry the potential for AI-generated misinformation and loss of human judgment. What are your views on that?
I think we cannot avoid the evolution of technology, but at the same time, we must be mindful that the fundamentals of journalism remain the same. And those fundamentals will have to be applied even in a situation of convergence with AI to ensure that the information that's provided to the wider public is credible and can withstand scrutiny. If not, we'll be pretty much finding ourselves being disadvantaged as media practitioners and also putting at risk the wider public. Because the last thing we want to have is a situation where we supply information that's not factual, that's untruthful, that do not withstand the test of time, all of the fundamentals, as I said, of journalism, because we now have a new means by which we can see someone speaking or delivering the news or reflecting a thought that might be based on algorithms, and that is not what I think we should be aiming for. We should be aiming for the application of AI in consonance with the fundamentals, as I like to say, of journalism.
Okay, I see. Many would say that artificial intelligence are in the hands of really journalists, all right? And it's just like, as you said, you have to really know the fundamentals and how you're using artificial intelligence. This means that they would choose whether to abuse it or not. And if AI is not able to help one way or the other, it would harm journalists and their credibility. Now, how do you think that the media houses can really maintain credibility, accountability, and their transparency?
Right. Well, as the technology evolves, I think the boundaries or the policies will have to be shaped by people in authority. When I say people in authority, I'm not for one moment talking here about governments and political parties or big business owners, because at the end of the day, these people in these organizations, whether political or otherwise, their objective is always to suppress information. I mean, I can say so broadly speaking, that organizations and people in a position of power more often than not do not see the importance of transparency. They probably just only give it lip service. But to go back to your question, I think that the people in authority who are responsible for journalism, either at the organization level or at the level of media houses, will have to formulate policies and rules to ensure that AI is applied in such a manner that it is not misused and that it is only what I may term an additive in terms of the dissemination of accurate, fair, balanced, and timely information to the public.
Okay, I see. Because I know that is what people really try to do. And you see something, it's like what they say strictly the government, why is it the population, you know? And you know, every time something comes up, they will try to make a policy to comes up to do these things. But I know as journalists, and I know not as journalists, but I know you as a journalist won't really, and the journalists all across Guyana won't really want to go to negative part of it, because that can lead to chaos and a whole lot of other story. So my question now is, highlighting and really being aware of artificial intelligence in this year World Press Freedom Day theme is to really know from you as a veteran journalist to other journalists, and as we speak, as we're going to really release and see this audio confirmation based on our assignment, and we're going to be awareness to other journalists and other people who will be viewing and listening this recording. Right, I would like to know from you, from your perspective, how can journalists really adapt the roles in this evolving digital age shaped by AI technology, with all the policies and so forth that is going to be aimed at artificial intelligence? How can they adapt to this?
Well, as I am saying almost ad nauseum, the fundamentals are there. We just need to enhance those fundamentals, ensure that there is no misapplication of AI in terms of creating fake news, in terms of, for instance, using the images of existing people and having those images manipulated to appear as though they're uttering particular types of expressions. So it is not in keeping with reality. We also need to ensure that AI is not used to propagate fake news or engage in misinformation and disinformation, because people can be easily misled by virtue of this technology. You know, you can easily take someone's image or a video of the person and manipulate it to suit whatever means you have. I mean, historically speaking, we have seen in terms of the production of radio and television documentaries, certain sound effects and video effects are used, which are really natural from the environment. But people now want to use AI to create false replicas of these various environments in their production, rather than going out into the field, capturing the real, live, authentic information or material to do their productions. Also, we need to ensure that AI is not seen as a replacement for human beings in the dissemination of information. I'm not saying AI doesn't have a place. All I'm saying is that AI has to have its space, and human beings using the various rules and regulations, not necessarily laws, that these rules and regulations are applied to ensure that the integrity of news products, of current affairs products, are all in keeping with the established norms, values, and standards. If not, we will just be finding ourselves in an environment where we are propagating fake news, misinformation, and disinformation.
I see. I mean, and that was my last question on the script, but going through the interview, I've noticed we have really been talking about not propagating other images and so forth. In this time, even though we are not aiming for that, where do you think, and how do you really think we can use it for the positive side, artificial intelligence? In terms, because I know some people say we use it for guidelines, and we can help journalists find guidelines, or starting up sources, because when you type in these online chat GPT and so, we can find a startup source, but you still have to go into the field. Do you really agree that you can use it for starting up guidelines?
Yes, I think it's a tool that can be used. But given the fact that, like ChatGPT you mentioned, it generates information based on what is already out there. Now, we don't know that necessarily all of this out there is accurate. So you, as a human being, you've got to ensure that you verify whatever is generated there, and that you use it in such a way that it is not a copy and paste job. For the simple reason, you don't want to engage in plagiarism, and two, you need to authenticate the information.
Yes.
So, I mean, and on the positive side as well, I believe that that AI, in terms of using images and videos, can be used in such a manner to bring about greater efficiency in the newsroom. So, I mean, while now we expect, a lot of the work, a lot of the actual reading to be done by human beings, I envisage a situation where you can program the AI image, probably of yourself, to basically utter an accurate, authenticated news script that will then be broadcast. Nothing is wrong with that, but you have to ensure that whatever you're putting out there is credible. That must be the watchword.
That must be the watchword. Credibility is the watchword.
Credibility, accuracy.
Well, thank you for putting your views on artificial intelligence and on press freedom and journalism itself. I'm really thankful for this interview. I'm really thankful that is with you, who's seen from the past and now, and who can be able to give substantial views on artificial intelligence. Thank you, Mr. Chabrol, for this interview. You have a good day too, and I know you will wish me a good day.
Yes,
thank you very much.
As we've heard from both Nazima Raghubir and Denis Chabrol, the intersection of journalism and artificial intelligence is redefining the media landscape in profound ways. In Guyana, where the twin forces of economic transformation and technological change converge, the role of a free and independent press is more crucial than ever. AI offers powerful tools to enhance reporting, streamline newsrooms, and broaden access to information. Yet, it also raises difficult questions about ethics, accountability, and the very nature of truth in a digital age. For journalists, the challenge is clear: to harness technology without surrendering the core principles of integrity, accuracy, and freedom that define their mission. As the world watches and learns, Guyana's media continues to adapt, innovate, and push forward, ensuring that no matter how the tools evolve, the pursuit of truth remains at the heart of the story. Thank you for watching.